Good morning from slightly cold and windy North Carolina. This is Caitlin from Windswept Willows Farm, and I thought I'd do a little update video today because it's time to get the garden moving along. It's going to be chilly for the next couple of days, but then it's going to really warm up, so we need to get anything that's kind of cold weather in the ground. It's not time for some of our things like tomatoes and watermelons yet. There's going to be at least one more freeze, if not two more, before it kind of stays warm. But I thought we'd do a quick update video. I did get a new microphone, but unfortunately it isn't recording any sound, so I'm going to keep trying to work on the sound quality. So we're filling the raised beds. My brother had found a rotten pine in the woods, and he kind of chopped it up into little chunks for me so I can add it to the raised beds. Now, a lot of people do worry about nitrogen being robbed from the soil when logs decay, but I've had hugelkultur mounds before. I haven't had a problem, and I think it's because I put so much rabbit manure in my garden beds that it kind of offsets it. So I have a lot of rabbit manure already layered in there, and I'm going to adjust the logs a little bit. My brother was kind enough to put all this in for me, so it's mostly done. And then I'm going to add another couple wheelbarrows of rabbit manure, and then I got a load of kind of crummy topsoil. As you can see, it's very sandy, but that's going to be okay because rabbit manure. So I'm going to put one more layer of rabbit manure in here and another layer of the topsoil, and then everything, once it comes up, I'm going to mulch it very heavily and it'll be okay. It's just basically the same soil I had last year and it did okay. So, but we're expanding the raised beds because it's a lot easier to plant in raised beds when you have kind of like the Bermuda grass that has spread into this area. So the garden is still a mess over there. I'm still working on it, but I wanted to give a little update on the greenhouse I'm putting in. It is a temporary greenhouse. I'm hoping it lasts about 2 years. So I've done a couple things to help hopefully have it last a little longer. It was a $200 greenhouse. It's not going to last forever, obviously. But if it does last 2 years and then the cover degrades, I will replace the cover with greenhouse plastic and be very happy. So this is just one of the basic just a little over $200 greenhouses you can get on Amazon. The first thing I did was I dug a trench the whole way around, and then I put the bottom around the trench. That's one of the things they recommended for having it be more stable. And then I hammered these spikes in, and I am going to secure the spikes to the greenhouse. Then I still haven't decided whether I'm going to do anything else to stabilize it. I saw a lady had run a pole the whole way across the top still, or maybe it was a 2x4, and then she put a 4x4 in the center, and she said that really helps stabilize it. And then a lot of people built a door, an actual real doorway here in the front instead of just using the zip up door. So that's something else I might want to consider doing. But the other thing I'm doing that wasn't included in the package is I got nylon rope, like the flagpole type rope, and I'm going to put it across the top, and then I'm going to use really big anchors instead of the little landscape staples that came with the kit. And this is my lovely potting table or greenhouse table. It was actually really attractive looking when it was first made. My brother made it for me, and I used it for rabbits to sit on top of it. I had 3 cages on it, and I have cleaned it 3 times, I think now. I kept hosing it off and hosing it off and hosing it off, but it's just used. So I can either paint it, which I'm going back and forth on, or just leave it like it is. I'm going to put wire on the top. I've got some 1-inch wire that was on sale. I'm going to put on the top, and then I'll just use it for potting, and it'll be very useful that way. The one reason I'm no longer using it is just because I really love my rabbits to have more room than just a cage, and Mr. Gray and Mr. Brown now have 4x8 runs, and their houses are still in their runs on the little tables, but they are not shut up. They can go in and out of their houses as they want and just run around, and they're enjoying it so much. I'm really glad I got them out of cages and into the runs. Frosty is a snowy call duck. Well, his parents are visually snowy call ducks. I'm not positive if they're pure snowy because one of Frosty's younger siblings has different markings. But Frosty was the only hatchling and got very bonded to me. This is Frosty's first day outside, and climbed into my lap and won't leave. See, it feels safe here, huh, Frosty? The wood is too big? Where's the ceiling, right, Frosty? There's no ceiling, Mom. Where's the ceiling? Where's the ceiling, says Frosty. So the reason I am sitting out with my adorable duckling is because the winds are hitting about 15 miles an hour, and my original plan to put the cover on the greenhouse just seems like a poor choice for today. It recommends 3 people, and I think 1 person and wind is just not a good choice. So I have time to do other things like play with adorable ducklings. The other project I have that's a major project is to put the roof on the Silky run, and again, it's not a good choice for the wind. So we're gonna water the plants, aren't we, baby? Say, speak for yourself. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna water the plants and do a little weeding and fill up some waterers I didn't get to. Everyone has some fresh water, but I like to do all the waterers for their evening pens, so I'll go and do that. And just kind of putter around and get some stuff done that's, you know, the little stuff that you usually don't have time for. So we're gonna get to work and do some chores. It's freezing cold. Literally, it dropped to about 28 last night. It's our last cold snap, I think. But I just love coming out this early in the morning and seeing the sun coming up over the trees. Hearing the birds sing. In about 20 seconds, it's gonna be geese yelling instead. But it's just one of the things I love the most about having a little farm is coming out and just enjoying the stillness of the morning. So you don't see a lot of this in the south, but there is ice, little ice bits on the wood. It's actually kind of pretty, but I'm ready for this cold weather to go and have a couple days of spring. Of course, I'll be missing it in about 3 weeks when it feels like a sauna out here. So Frosty is out enjoying the weather. His wings are so heavy with getting all the new feathers and all the blood in his blood feathers that they're drooping, but he's pulling them up and flapping his wings and working on building his wing strength. And I'm so glad he can come out today because there is nothing worse than a duckling in the house, Frosty. Think, Mom, hold me, hold me. I can't hold you, I'm putting things in the greenhouse. So he's working on not being afraid of his bathtub. He likes to drink out of it, but if I put him in it, he jumps out and runs away. So no matter how many times I see them do this, I always feel absolutely horrified for a minute. They sleep so soundly and lay out there like that, and it looks absolutely dreadful. But I just walked through here 5 minutes ago and she was begging for treats, so I know she's fine. But if you've never had a goat do this, it's absolutely terrifying the first time you see it, and really not much less terrifying the 20th time you see it. Bitsy, I don't think there's anything more terrifying than this sight. What do you think? So even though the old greenhouse virtually disintegrated, a lot of the roof panels were missing and all, I had a layer of remade fabric over these plants, and as you can see, even with the cold snaps, they survived. Even this little bitty guy is starting to leaf out. He's a little fig rooted cutting I have there. So, and this little Celeste fig actually does have a tiny leaf at the very bottom. You probably can't see it. So everything here made it, and we're gonna put them in the greenhouse because we've got a couple nights around 40, and then they'll be able to come out kind of into the little staging area in front here. But for now, they're going in the greenhouse. So I just watered them up all good. And you can see my bay tree is doing really well too. We're actually zone 7B here. It's kind of protected by the woods, and it does okay. But unfortunately, this guy, when we had that really bad cold snap, I had a cover over him. I had a container full of water next to him to warm by the sun. And he's not dead. You can see that his lower trunk is not dead, but all the branches are dead. So I don't know if he'll come back or not. I did get him half price. It was unfortunately not one of my $2 bargains. So there was still some money invested in him. I think he was half of $34.98. Or maybe he was 75% off. I think he was 75% off. So not a terrible amount invested in him, but if I would have realized it was going to be this cold this winter, I wouldn't have put him in the ground. So we'll see how he does. So today is going to be the big test. There is going to be a storm coming through until about 6 o'clock tonight. So we'll see. I'll shut the door before it comes. And we'll see how it holds up with all that dirt holding the edges and the frame buried. Hopefully it holds up well because I've got everything in here. So these guys here in the front corner are actually waiting to go in gardens. This is my new potting bench with its very fancy drawer to hold the seed starting mix. And then, of course, my former rabbit cage holder now is my growing table, and my little tomatoes are back there. And it looks crammed, but it really isn't. Most of these plants, the subtropical plants, will go out under the pecan tree for the summer. These are some poor little seedlings I got right at the end of the season last year, and most of them didn't make it. I'm babying them on and trying to get some of them to the point I can pot them up and keep growing them, especially the little red buds and the dappled willows. That's my apple trees. I had an apple that I thought was kind of good, and I saved seeds. So they will probably not be eating apples. They'll be more like a crab apple size, but that's okay because my bunnies love apple twigs. And then this is a gardenia from my old house. It was about 50 years old, maybe older. The house was built in the 70s, and it seemed like it was one of the first things they planted maybe. So I took cuttings and they rooted, and I repotted them. This little guy here in the front was really choked out, and this guy in the back for some reason had lost all his leaves. But he does have new leaves coming out, so I'm giving him a chance. And then back here are my cuttings that I'm trying to grow into little plants. So hopefully we can get this all filled up and being productive. And hopefully it doesn't blow away today. Fingers crossed. So it's been several days. We've had a few winds, but nothing like a hurricane. But everything's doing well so far. We did upgrade, as I said, to this nylon rope, and these spikes go about a foot into the ground, so it's a lot sturdier. And inside, everything's doing pretty well. I got these guys, came in the mail, and they were in rough shape. They had dried completely out. So I think they're gonna survive. I'm hoping so. But only time will tell. All the plant starts. I've got on the true potato seed train. I'm very excited about that. And I'm trying to start a few of the true potato seeds. I saved enough back to try several times, different times of the year, in case it doesn't work. And I've got all my little starts. I did have a mouse come in here and had to replant all my sunflowers, and he also, for some reason, targeted my Roche de Provence. I don't know how to say that because I'm not French. Pumpkin. So I caught him. And hopefully we don't have any more. So these are all my starts, and then my tomatoes are ready to go out. The last frost date was yesterday. I never believe it, so I'm going to keep them inside another week. That's about it. My little cuttings hopefully will take on. These two in the front are not cuttings. They were supposed to be hardy, but with the cold snap, I don't think they made it. And we're just waiting for everything to either leaf out or die, so we know what's going on this table. And over here, everything's looking pretty good. That last fig started to leaf out, and I don't know if it's going to with the way it got really cold the one day, so just waiting to see. I wish I would have had the greenhouse up before we got that last cold snap. But yeah, everything is doing well. It's very warm in here. I still have to go get something to anchor those spikes in the corners. But everything else is as done as it's going to be for a temporary greenhouse.